Hi Sandy, thanks for watching. This is a quick look at how Google views and ranks your website in the search results. And by knowing how the program works, you can use it to your advantage to increase traffic to your site by getting it to the first page, so that way more consumers and patients can easily find you. So I've got your site pulled up here, and the way Google is going to rank this website is using two different factors. The first is the content. So it's going to come in here and it's going to count all the words and text on the page. It's really looking for a minimum of about 1,000 to 1,500 words, because it assumes that the more text and the more information you have, the more of an expert you are in your field. Now, while it's counting the words, it's also looking for keywords, which would be anything that somebody would type into a Google search bar, which is usually a service that you offer or a product, and then also a location. Now, this is where the number of words really comes into play, because you're only allowed to have one keyword for every 100 to 150 words on the page. So the more keywords you want to be able to be searched by, the more content that you have to put on the page. The second way that Google is going to rank this website is what's called the authority. Now, the website will build authority in two ways. One is having a citation. That is anytime that your name, address, and phone number are listed in an online directory, like Yelp, Yellow Pages, Better Business Bureau, things like that. The good news is these directories are usually free. It just takes some time to find them, register, and then input all your information exactly as it's listed in Google. The second way to build authority is what's called a backlink, which is where other websites refer or link back to your site. And it basically acts as an endorsement for Google to build trust by others vouching for you. You can kind of almost equate that to a customer review, where if you had 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 reviews, that'll determine what customers think about you. The same thing that Google is doing, except it's using other websites. So if we look at the search that I did a couple of them, because obviously in your home area, you're showing up in this section called the map pack. However, in the other areas, you're not. So this map pack right here, it is pretty important to show up in, because statistically speaking, almost half, about 40% of people will click on one of these top 3 listings. So depending on what they're typing in for a search will determine whether or not you're in here. What we can do to try to ensure that you do get in here is when you're filling out your Google business profile, which is inside the Google Maps app, you can do it right from your smartphone. We want to make sure that we're filling out as many of the fields as possible, including your service areas, any kind of services you provide, and then even like hours of operation, pretty much as you can possibly fill out. Then we want to continuously add photos that are geotagged in these service areas, upload them, and then also post into this account. We want to have customers review, and then also you want to get as many of those citations as possible. So all those name, address, and phone number directories, you want to try to be listed in more directories than anybody else on this list. So that way we can get you in here just even outside of your home base area. Now, underneath this is what we call the organic search results. This is where the authority or trust that Google has in your website will determine how far up in the list that you'll rank. So to demonstrate this, I put your website into this paid tool that I use, and it basically just shows me what Google sees when it crawls your site for both the content and then also the authority of the site. So for instance, if there was a news article that said, top 5 CBD wellness centers in the Boston area, and a reader could read that article and click on a link that would bring them back to your website, that would be one backlink from one referring domain. So just as an example, I took one of the top ranking in that same search area, and you can see how much authority that their website is bringing and how much content they're also being found for. So this is where we need to make up the difference so we can get your website ranking on the top of the list. It's also important to note here that it's not just all about the quantity. It has a lot to do with the quality of the link as well. For instance, if we had like Pizza Hut referring back to your website, obviously Google knows that you're not in the business of making pizzas, so that link would not add any authority to the site. Now, if you go in and look in your keywords, these are all the words and phrases that people are searching for that are being found on your site, as well as the volume, which is the number of times per month that that word or phrase is being searched. So what we would want to do here is do as much research as we can to find out the most popular keywords for the areas that you serve, and make sure that those keywords are being found on your site so that when somebody searches them, your site will pop up. Now, in order for that to happen, we want to make sure that your site is in the first position, or probably the top 3 positions, so at least it'll land on the top of the first page. So for instance, if customers are looking for bliss drops, 600 people a month are searching for that. If your website was on the first page, 600 people will be seeing your site. The typical conservative conversion rate is about 10%. So that means 60 people would actually visit the site. And then I don't know exactly what your conversion rate is beyond that, but let's say even more conservatively speaking, let's say only a third of those actually turn into customers and purchase something, whether in-store or online. That would be 20 sales per month just off this one keyword. Now, if we try to do that for as many of the high-ranking keywords as possible, if your website was at the top of the list, you'd be adding all this revenue and getting all this traffic to your site per month. So I hope this information was helpful and allows you to scale your online presence so we can get you to the top of the list. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you'd like some further details. Also, we could talk about your goals, and I can do some research to find out what it would take for you to reach those. I do always love getting feedback as well to find out if information like this is useful for you, so please feel free to let me know your thoughts. Thanks, and I look forward to speaking with you.